one question that I really liked was, so this person is doesn't feel bad about hearing all of this. They say that sometimes I speak to people and I feel like they don't understand anything I say. I feel like I don't fit into any crowd, and from childhood I haven't had any friends. And although I don't feel bad, I can't relate to anyone. So is this something that I have to change, or can I let it be and can I carry on with my life?
Yeah, so thanks for your question. I think it's a combination of everything, right? For all of us. None of us can say that I don't have to change, or um, others don't have to change. We all have to change. So if for some reason your confidence is down, or your self-esteem is down because you feel others don't accept you, as I told you today, that you don't need anybody's validation to start with. Your identity and your value and worth has already been given to you, so embrace that and be confident. And it's kind of very strange. It kind of works together. When you're confident and you believe in yourself, people will warm up to you, because um, people will see that you are different, right? And they will want what you have. And I'm sorry that you feel this way, but I just hope you figure it out and you will make friends. And sometimes friends that come late, really great friends who love you for who you are. So hang in there.
Thank you so much, Kavitaka. So another question related to this that I thought was, how do we celebrate being different from others and enjoy being ourselves?
See, that is the big question, right? So there's this whole thing of peer pressure. I am not like someone else. I'm not, skinny enough or fair enough or muscular enough. That is because our brain accepts those stereotypes. So today I'm speaking to you about the Dark is Beautiful campaign, but the fact of the matter is, as a team, when we were doing this campaign, we realized we ourselves were biased against dark skin, right? And sometimes even if you are a dark skinned person, you will be biased yourself if you actually check. So these are some things we need to gradually grow out of. It's a mindset, and it takes time, and it's like it takes constant reminding and being surrounded by people who believe about the same thing about you. And every time these negative messages come, you need to say no, no, no. And it takes time. But then it can change, as long as you know what the truth is about you. Doesn't matter, whether you're short, thin, tall, you are a person and you are valuable, full stop. Yeah.
I'm really glad you brought up your campaign. Someone has asked.
You muted yourself, Tasma, by mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a brown skinned person, people have always been critical of my dull skin or how acne looks particularly bad on me. How do I handle such comments and respond to them gracefully?
Yeah, we're all human, right? It does upset us. We can't always act gracefully, but we can try to be graceful. But before you can respond to other people, the most important thing is what you believe about yourself, right? So it starts there. Let it start there. You convince yourself every day that you are enough, just because, just the way you are enough. And then when you're talking to others, yes, there are sometimes you just lose it, right? But then also think of it as an opportunity to educate people. So tell them, that's not how life is. Don't it? Yeah, actually, globally, also more than 50% of the world's population is dark skinned, but we have made the lesser population the ideal. So read about it, learn, get to know about our campaign and the research that has gone on, and how people are speaking up, and have people support you. And yeah, uh, it will happen. So be on the journey.
Thank you so much, Akka. There's another question I found related to this about wearing makeup. If I don't wear makeup or dress up, people say I look dull or sick. I can't possibly perform all the time, but it feels like I have no choice if I want to be taken seriously. How do I look fresh and healthy without makeup?
uh yeah I yeah, I guess it's Just because we are saying like, we're saying like, what to say, any shape, size, colors, everything is fine, doesn't mean that you don't take care of yourself. You groom yourself well, but that grooming and your style is your own. You don't do it just because others demand it of you. There are people today who don't want to use makeup. There are people today who embrace the acne. There's this campaign where acne is considered, or what do you call those marks on the face, it's considered to be beautiful. So we have to change the way we perceive these things. And I would say, dress up for who you are and what makes you comfortable. Don't wear makeup just because others are demanding. They will change. I don't know if you've heard the song called Scars to You're Beautiful. Where the world will change. You keep doing what you're supposed to do, what you believe in about yourself, the world will change. They will accept you one day without makeup, if that's what you want. But don't judge others who wear makeup, right? So that is something they are comfortable doing. So let them do it. So be who you are, be true to yourself.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Akka. You were just talking about judgment. So I thought this question really made sense. Just give me a minute. Let me put it in the main chat. I have the feeling that someone is watching me all the time. Whether I'm right or wrong, I feel like people are judging me, and because of this, I isolate myself. How do I deal with this?
Though I've kind of spoken about, building confidence and low self-esteem. I mean, it's a very short talk for such a vast topic which has so many layers. How do I become a confident person? How do I like myself? What do I isolate myself? So I just want to also make it a point to say that sometimes the self-esteem issue can pull you down so low that it can really push you into depression and isolation and loneliness. And the fact is, sometimes we need help. Sometimes we need a counselor or somebody who's experienced enough to help us along, right? So don't hesitate to talk about it with a counselor. Don't hesitate to get help. Today we have a lot of stigma when it comes to mental health issues, but mental health is as important as our physical health. There is no stigma. There should be no stigma attached to it. So if I need to talk to a counselor and I feel so low that it's affecting my daily choices, my daily work, and how I should live my life, then I need help. So get help if you really feel you're not able to break out of the shell that you've isolated yourself in. Get help. Talk to somebody. Don't hesitate.
Okay. I wanted to put a trigger warning for this question. It's about self-harm. I feel insecure when I see myself in the mirror, and most of the time end up beating myself and leaving a scar or a mark. What should I do?
Thank you so much for asking this question, for being bold enough to, kind of say this, because it's not easy. Having said that, I also know that this is, I don't want to use the word common, but this is something that happens often, right? And as I said, the dystopia is everywhere. The general dissatisfaction with life, the depression, everything is so low, and I'm not good. Why is life like this? And there's this also, you're living in an age where everything is available for you. In one sense, you can go to Google and you have all the answers. So there is that need in some of us for that intense feeling, right? So I see a lot of young people like to watch horror movies because they feel, that intense emotion is something that they need for a life that seems like dull. So self-harm is also something related to depression, isolation, and also the need to feel a sort of a pain physically, so that you feel alive, or you feel like you deserve it, sort of, sometimes. So again, I would like to say that get help. Okay. And if you, the only tip I can give you right now is that if you, every time you feel like harming yourself, go and do something that is physically you're able to let out that emotion. If you have a boxing glove, just go and box something, or tear newspaper, or show that frustration on something else other than yourself, is what I would say, right? So don't try to love yourself, because you're valuable, and please get help. Okay, talk to somebody. Doesn't mean that every time you talk to a counselor you have really bad mental health issue, but if we don't take care of it now, it might get worse, and we don't want it to go there, right? So pay attention to these triggers in you and get help.
Okay. Akka, I got a question, but I'm not really sure what it means. So I'm going to give it to you and maybe you can handle it. How can we disclose our identity in a conservative society?
I get you. This is a very good question, whoever asked this thing. The thing is, I couldn't cover that aspect of building your confidence, because that's to do with culture, right? So culture, sometimes there are toxic elements within our culture, within every culture in society, where you're supposed to fit a certain stereotype. And even like I can give this as an example. In our culture, what do we do when a child is born? What do we go to see? We go to see if it is a girl or a boy, right? And we want a boy. Though we say, yeah, we are a weak equal society, we still want, when a family has a boy, yeah, they have a boy. It's a girl, great. But if the girl happens to be dark, what do we say? Oh my goodness, they got a girl and she's dark. How will she get? So we have these toxic beliefs in our society, which does affect our identity to a great extent, and that is another stereotype that we need to challenge, right? And it takes work again. Maybe at some point we'll discuss how culture does affect what we think about ourselves.
Okay. I think this is a question from a psychology student. I would like to know how we balance the confidence of a borderline intelligence person.
Borderline intelligence person. It doesn't really matter how you measure. I don't know how you measure your intelligence, what sort of an IQ assessment you are using on a person to decide they're borderline or they're smart or whatever. But your confidence doesn't matter. I may be highly intelligent in a particular aspect or in a particular subject, but I may not be good at another um, aspect. So I think we can all be confident no matter what our intelligence level. I am who I am, and I embrace it, and I live life to my fullest potential. I think that's what matters, right? So, we all have a place in this world.
Okay. I'm actually waiting for a question right now. I'm feeling a little insecure myself. But okay, why do I feel insecure about little things? I think this is something that would resonate with everyone.
Why do I feel insecure about everything? About little things? Isn't it strange that you may have achieved a lot in life, you may be even a successful person, but still insecurity doesn't leave us, right? um like speaking in front of a crowd, how many of us are confident all the time? How many of us can say, oh yeah, I'm going to speak before 200 people and I'm not nervous at all? you know it doesn't work like that, right? So that's why I kept saying that this is something we all need to work on a daily basis. It doesn't matter if you're young or inexperienced, or if you're as old as me or older. We all go through those moments where we feel insecure about different things. There may be some things that I'm not insecure about, but some areas I will be insecure about, right? So, but the important thing is to be self-aware that, yeah, this area is something that I'm insecure about. So let me just pay attention to it. How can I develop myself in that area? So that is something you could possibly do, even if it's a little thing. And yeah, it starts from within, and then it just, you can carry it on to other ways of improving yourself in other areas.
Okay, so the next one is kind of interesting. I think this happens to me also. Whenever I face things, people and circumstances, whenever they make me feel low, whenever I feel humiliated, it makes me feel bad, and my face immediately shows this. How do I stop this from happening?
It's okay for your face to show it, that you're hurt, that you feel humiliated. I think we're all human, right? We're not robots. um, it's okay to show that you felt bad or you feel insecure, or I think it's okay to show how you feel. um, but again, that's where your emotional intelligence aspect works, how you react to some of those moments. Are you quickly turning it around into something positive rather than reacting to it, is what is important. Like, you don't just yell back at people, or behave in a way that's going to cause more damage. That is important. So we need to get our emotions quickly back in place and say, no, I'm going to respond in a better way, right? So that is what you could do. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jaka. This one is really interesting. So, I'm a girl with facial hair, and although I don't want to remove it, this is the first thing that people notice about and ask me. This makes me feel very insecure, and how do I deal with this?
um thank you so much for sharing a part. Sharing something that, that you made yourself so vulnerable by sharing this. And let me assure you that you're not the only girl with facial hair. And let me also tell you that there are boys with no facial hair. It doesn't grow. You're not able to have a mush and a beard, and so again, that's because of these damaging stereotypes that we kind of impose on people. If you're a girl, you should not have facial hair. If you're a boy, you know you should have facial hair, and that sort of thing. But that doesn't define you, for sure, as I said. And it takes time to get over that feeling of insecurity because of that. And if people do point it out to you, just say, so what, that's how I am. Maybe there's something to do with your hormones. Some people have hair growth on their face because of imbalance in your hormones. You could go and check it out with a doctor, but don't let it steal your worth, right? Don't let it steal your worth, is what I would say. Yeah.
Okay. There's another one. I take some of my decisions very instinctively, and sometimes those are the wrong ones. This crushes me. How do I avoid this?
um my quick advice would be to work on your response. Like I pointed out, emotional intelligence is a very important aspect of how we are supposed to carry ourselves through different decisions. And so many of us are we are very impulsive in the way we decide or do things. Don't beat yourself up. Maybe sometimes actually that sometimes our strongest gifts can also be things that pull us down sometimes. And so you just need to have that balance. Maybe you're the person, when something has to be done in an emergency situation, you could be the right person because you can decide like that, instead of like taking your time. So that could even be a positive trait in you. But yeah, there are times when you have to slow down and think. So work on how you respond. Take your time, and it comes by training, right? Train yourself to be slow. When the decision can take time, just make sure that you give it time. So um, if it's something to do with your emotions in terms of how you react to situations, then definitely learn about how to control your emotions. How can you use your emotions positively?
Okay. So this is a little longer. When I'm being called useless or not fit to be in this world, or when someone says they have not seen such a fool in this world like me, when such comments come from others, how can I still continue to be confident? Because these words actually push me into depression. How do I deal with this?
I'm really sorry that you're facing this. But again, can I encourage you and tell you that um, what they're telling about you is not you, right? Um, Someone may perceive you as somebody who's a fool because you don't fit their idea of who a wise person or a successful person is, but that doesn't make you any less, right? Like, as I said, your value has been given to you already. It's intrinsic. Um, and when hurtful comments come from others, it does hurt us, no doubt it does hurt us, but in your quiet moment of reflection, just think about it and let it go. Don't let it control who you are. Don't let it control your decisions. Don't let it, your life goal shouldn't be, oh, I have to convince this person that I'm not a fool. It's not worth it. You know, live your life on your own terms and don't live for others. If they think you're a fool, it's their choice, you know. And let me tell you that all of us have people telling us that, you know, we, in a sense, not to kind of undermine what you're feeling at this point, but I've had people tell me that, you know, you're a fool, you're doing nonsense. We all have those moments when people tell us, but that doesn't define us or limit us to becoming who we can be, right? So be encouraged and know that you and you are special.
Thank you so much, Akka. That was really nice to hear. Uh, this is about pornography. Does addiction to pornography or watching movies destroy one's self confidence?
I think any sort of addiction, let me put it that way, any sort of addiction, we kind of get addicted to something because we want something to hold on to, right? We want that sense of, this is something I can control. Like, I can watch so much of social media, I can do this, and nobody has to know. So any sort of addictive behavior can destroy our confidence, can destroy our true potential as a person, because it steals time. We are preoccupied with it, and it is something that, you know, when you can be spending your time in other creative ways, you kind of indulging in something that's actually constantly pulling you down. At the moment it may look like it's entertainment or pleasurable, but it's actually pulling you down. So my advice to you, if you are addicted to, you know, pornography, is to get help, and don't beat yourself because, oh my goodness, you know, I'm so bad. No, don't call yourself that. We all have our addictions. Addiction to phone, addiction to social media, addiction to drugs and alcohol, you know, is what we normally talk about, but there are different kinds of addictions, and any addiction is harmful for us.
Okay. There was someone earlier who spoke about self harm. I feel like this is also a form of self harm, so I wanted to give a trigger warning. I keep remembering embarrassing incidents from my childhood, and momentarily I'm overwhelmed with shame and embarrassment. I usually end up swearing at myself, and only then do I think that it's okay. How do I let it go?
If I am right, I may be wrong. Probably the person who asked me this question, again, not to overgeneralize, but in general, women do a lot of negative self-talk, right? So probably this question is from a woman, but maybe not. As I said, warning, disclaimer that it may be a guy also. But the fact of the matter is, we do a lot of negative self-talk. You know, we spill a cup of coffee. Oh, you idiot! You couldn't carry a cup of coffee, or you wake up and say, "What is? Oh, my hair is cursed. See how curly it is." Or, you know, so remembering moments where you embarrassed yourself or where you failed. See, that is another aspect of building confidence. How do you handle failure? You know, how do you handle embarrassing moments? I don't know if you've seen some of the, again, talking about movies and some of the Oscar shows, you know, when these actors go up to receive, you know, you've seen how many of them trip and fall and they get up and go, and, you know, so we're all human, right? And all of us have had those embarrassing moments. Again, not to undermine what you're feeling, but just to remind yourself that you're more than that embarrassing moment that happened to you, right? You're more than that. You're more than that shame that you felt when that embarrassing thing happen. So it will come. It comes to me sometimes. The embarrassing thing that I have done comes to me, and and I tell myself, okay, that's not my identity, right? I failed. I embarrassed myself, but that doesn't define me. That doesn't limit me, right? So know that you are more than that.
Okay, great, Akka. I have a problem of saying yes to people, even if the situation demands a no from me. I end up always agreeing to them. Is there any way I can stop myself from doing this?
Yeah, it's I think it's also a very cultural thing for us here in India. We don't want to say no, right? We don't want to displease people. um but then if you imagine, if you keep saying yes to everybody, you'll end up doing everything that everybody else wants. Again, this takes discipline. We have to learn to say no. In the beginning, when you start saying no, believe me, I know how it feels. When you start saying no, you feel like you're hurting the other person, or maybe even you're losing an opportunity, or so I think you have to see what's on your plate, calculate the time and energy, and you prioritize what's most important for you. And if you have time, say yes. If you don't, say no. Again, it's a discipline that you need to grow into it.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. This is something I actually personally relate with a lot. There are a few times when, after physically meeting a lot of people, I'm back to my room all by myself and I immediately feel low on confidence and very irritable. Can you suggest what I can do during such times?
Mm, I think it also it has a lot to do with the kind of person that you are. Maybe you're an extrovert or an introvert. I'm an introvert, and so for me, the me time is very important. So I just can't be constantly in a high. When the people are around, I can't be constantly partying. For me, that's who I am. There are people who can do that. There are people who can get their energy out of being in a crowd, and if they're alone, they feel like something is wrong. So I think it has a lot to do with how you are made up, and you need those quiet times. And if you're feeling low, and you want to be again with people, again, it all, if you kind of, your identity is attached to what you can do well, and having people all the time around you, and when you come back to your room, you have to face reality. That's why you're facing irritated and low. um, just encourage yourself. Again, if it is something that is so overwhelming, it's interfering with your sleep or with your everyday chores and decisions, get help from somebody. Talk to a counselor, so that you can overcome that sense of feeling low when you're all by yourself, right?
Mm. Akka, you mentioned how you were introverted yourself. There's a question about someone who took the 16 personality test, that's the Myers-Briggs test, and who said that they are a type that has been identified as introverted. They agree to it, but they're also asking if they should let it build their self-image.
This is my take. Okay. The older I grow, the more I realize sometimes these tests can also put you in a box. Sometime back when I did the Myers-Briggs test, I was convinced I am an introvert. But maybe because what I do in life and all that stuff, I describe myself as an ambivert now. Okay. So I really don't know whether I'm an introvert or an extrovert. Maybe I'm somewhere in the middle. Um, but knowing who you are, there are two things. It can build you up for the positive side of who an introvert can be or an extrovert can be. But also it reminds us, as an introvert, I can be so self-absorbed, I can be too introspective. So I need to balance it out. I need to hang out with people. I need to be out there. So it kind of also helps me work on what could go against me, right? So I need to kind of balance it so that my self image is wholesome, that, become a whole person. So it doesn't matter whether you're an extrovert or an introvert. So build your self image. Yeah.
If this helps anyone, I took the Myers-Briggs test over like 10 years and I went from introvert to extrovert and now I'm introvert again. So I don't know if this really
So yeah.
puts you in a box. So we're done with the Q&A. Thank you so much for giving us your
Pleasure.
questions. Thank you so much, Kavitaka, for answering all of them wonderfully.